I'm Dick Pataglio, a founding president of the Logistics Institute. We're going to be looking at value creation. And I'd like us to think larger than supply chain logistics, but supply chain logistics is core to value creation, especially at the delivery end, but also at the supply side. But value creation is really about being in business. It's about entrepreneurship. It's about how we conduct ourselves in the marketplace. I start by quoting Jeff Bezos, CEO, Amazon, former CEO. Do not be competitor focused. Very interesting insight on his part. Be customer focused. We see customers as invited guests to a party, and we are the hosts. It's our job every day to make every important aspect of the customer experience a little bit better. So when we talk about value creation and we look at the model of Amazon, some of the ideas to keep in mind are, nothing gives us more pleasure at Amazon than reinventing normal. Right? So competition is not my company versus that company, but it's really about how do I engage with the customer? How do I deliver value? And so we're going to look at 4 different approaches to value and value creation. And I interchange those 2 words or phrases. Value is one thing, we'll talk about that. But value creation is what we're really talking about from a business point of view. And so we're going to look at strategic perspectives on value. Then we're going to look at customer perspectives, which is really about how do companies enter into markets to engage customers. So it's somewhat a customer perspective, but from a company point of view. Then there are market perspectives as such. Well, how do companies lead in markets? And then let's look at ourselves and others as customers. So if we look at supply chain logistics, again, this is contextual, we're looking at it as a business ecosystem. And I'd like us also to keep this in mind when thinking about any other company or type of company, whether it's a service company or a product-oriented company, manufacturing, retail, and so on and so forth. All companies at a very strategic level, the top of the pyramid, seek to deliver value in the marketplace, whether it's a service or a product. To support the value creation capability, it has a network design strategy, or that is going up channel to suppliers, and then a channel design strategy, which is its relationships and how it manages relationships with customers. Supporting those 2 strategies would be a process from procurement, inventory to distribution. And supporting all of that are these key enablers, information systems, policies, procedures, facilities, equipment, and organization. Now, this is a fairly unique approach to how businesses are actually structured. Often enough, when you look at businesses in any of the MBA programs, they'll start with the organizational structure. Who are the people who make the decisions? How are decisions made? This is a market orientation. It's really about value, and organizational structure, which is a key factor, is a support enabler, not the totality of why a company exists. So at a strategic level, it's about value creation. At a management level, it's about supply management, and it's about demand management. How do we manage demand, and then how do we manage the relationship with suppliers? It's about process flows from procurement through inventory to distribution, and then it's about the key enablers. And so when we think of an ecosystem, or a business ecosystem in particular, we must think in terms of the business strategy, management strategy, the operational strategy, and the organization strategy. Thinking, though, that the organization strategy is an enabler is not the total purpose of the business. The purpose of the business is very strategic, and that is to deliver and create value. And so when we think of all of this together, and trying to be comprehensive around it, we ask ourselves these meta questions. So why do companies exist? whether it's our company or any other company, that's a key question. What is its purpose? What does it do? And who are the key people that do it? When, where does it do it? In other words, what is its network and organizational structure? And then how does it do it? From a business point of view, they're also the same questions that companies and people who work in companies should be asking on a regular basis. It's the core of value creation. So when we think of this in terms of where does supply chain logistics fit, it's really looking at the productivity agenda of supply chain logistics. And those are the 6 V's. We call them the 6 V's. So value is value for customers. It's from a logistics and supply chain point of view, it's about controlling total landed cost while delivering quality and post-sale support. So there's a cost factor as part of the process. From a velocity point of view, it's not about speed. It's about reducing delays. This is something that people often enough don't realize. When you talk about velocity from a supply chain logistics point of view, it's not about being the quickest in town. It's about ensuring that things get to their destinations by reducing delays, managing availability, controlling accessibility, and handling any interruptions. There are always interruptions, whether pandemic or otherwise. It's about variety, or variability, I should say. Variability is eliminating unexpected changes in the flow, right? Reducing the need for buffer inventories. That's an internal issue because that becomes expensive. Visibility, it's about regarding where those products are. When will they arrive? What are the levels of inventory on hand? And what are the levels in transit? What are the levels on order? This again becomes an expense in terms of how companies run. It's also part of supply chain logistics and one of the 6 V's. Vulnerability of the channel itself, the total channel, whether it's a tsunami that causes the channel to be disrupted, or it's about a product itself in terms of its exposure to risks and contaminations, whether natural or human, visible or invisible. And finally, the final V is verdancy or green planning, which is becoming a more important value creation capability, both for supply chain logistics and all companies at a very strategic level. And so let's start looking at strategic perspectives on value creation. A minus B equals C, simple formula. A is value created and captured, minus or less the cost of creating that value equals the margin. This is economics 101. Product and service less the cost of production and delivery equals your profit. And so what do you have to do to be competitive from a value creation point of view? You have to manage your value chain. And this concept comes from Michael Porter, Harvard, the value chain for competitive advantage, which dates to 1985, but at the same time is still relevant today. And so let's look at Porter's value chain model. And what Porter identified are primary activities that increase margins that are part of delivering value in the marketplace, and then the support activities. The primary activities, interestingly enough, and he was not a logistics supply chain person, he was a business entrepreneur and a business professor. And he identified the primary activities of increasing margins is how you deal with your inbound logistics, your internal and external operations, your outbound logistics, your marketing and sales, and your service and post-sales capability. That is how you deliver value in the marketplace in terms of your primary activities. Your secondary or support activities are your firm infrastructure. So I get back to what I initially said. It's how you make decisions is a support mechanism. Your human resources, your people and the talent, that's a support capability. The technology that you use is a support capability. And then of course, procurement. procurement is not just about buying stuff. It's really about buying stuff in order to operate, in order to deliver to the marketplace, if you will, whether that stuff is involved in services or that stuff is involved in product production, producing a product for end users. So let's look a little more at what those mean. The primary activities relate directly to the physical creation, sale, maintenance, and support of a product or a service. They consist of the following. This is Porter. The inbound logistics is the process or the processes related to receiving, storing, distributing inputs internally. Well, that's pretty straightforward. In a more mega approach to this, supplier relationships are what create value. This is really about quality control. So when you think about the inbound, you're thinking about quality control. Operations is the transformation activities involved in changing inputs into outputs that are sold to customers. Product development. So products themselves create value. So quality control is part of value creation. Products themselves create value. Outbound logistics. These are activities that deliver products and services to the customers. These are things like collection, storage, distribution systems. They may be internal, external to the organization. This is about accessibility, all right? So quality, products themselves, and access to products, which is getting those products to market. Those are three dimensions of quality, of value creation. Marketing and sales. These are processes used to persuade clients like you and me to purchase from you instead of from somebody else. They're persuasion techniques, if you will. And the benefits that you offer and how well you communicate them are sources of value here. So this is what we talk about when we say price and promotion. They create value. And so if we were to go into service, these are the activities related to maintaining that value of your product. It's the ongoing relationship with your customers. And so customer satisfaction creates value. So these are key issues, key important ideas around value creation, whatever the company. So quality, products themselves, access to products, price and promotion, and then of course, customer satisfaction, reputation, brand that goes with it. If we put this into a traditional model, this refers to the 4 Ps of marketing. And if anybody has studied marketing, there are the 4 Ps. The 4 Ps are product, price, place, and promotion. So you can see those 4 Ps, and they're related to these 5 elements of the primary activities identified by Porter in creating and delivering value in the marketplace. The support activities include such things as procurement. Okay, purchasing. It's about getting stuff. It's what the organization needs as part of its resources in order to operate. And that's everything from making products to running itself. And that is focused on costs primarily, and also on quality management at source. Human resources. This is really about talent, and it's about talent management. It's about how we recruit, how we hire, how we train, motivate, reward, and retain our workers. Technology. These are the activities that relate to managing and processing information, as well as protecting the company's IP, knowledge base. This is about process management. And then infrastructure, it's really about its reporting and decision structures. This is important. I want to emphasize, I'm not talking about, how many different departments or how many warehouses. I'm talking about who reports to whom and how are decisions structured within the organization. And this is about decision management. And so when we talk about the secondary or support activities, we're talking about cost, quality, people, process, technology, and structure. So let's change our perspective. We were just talking about this from a competitive point of view. Now we're going to look at this value creation from a customer perspective, but it's a company's perspective on customer perspective. So keep that in mind. It's not about what customers are thinking. It's about how companies deal with customers, can deal with customers in terms of creating value. And so the first question that we need to ask is, so what's customer? You know, lots of people ask this question, and my answer is this: it's anyone in the chain of activities that you engage in that can impede or facilitate your success, depending on how you respond to their demands. You know, think about that. That's a pretty wide understanding of a customer. Notice I didn't say it's somebody who buys things from you, services or products. It's anyone in the chain of activities, the decision process that you have to undergo, that you engage in, that you can impede by refusing or facilitate by accepting what it is that you do in order to respond to their demands. Right? So someone in customs, government, who asks for information about the product you're importing is a customer of that information. And if you don't provide that information in a way that is accessible to that customer in order to meet their demand for that information, then they will hold your product in bond until you provide it. So that's a customer. It's a very wide definition and understanding of customer, but keep that in mind. So what is value from a company's approach to its customers? Well, John Mariotti, in his book, The Shapeshifters, says that value is the sum of all the parts of a decision by the customer to purchase one product or service or another over another, or to purchase anything at all from you or anybody else. Now, this is very important to keep in mind. Value is not a thing, it's a decision. And I want us to keep this in mind. We often think of an item or a service as having value, but it has value because it meets certain criteria in terms of us and how it's delivered. So value is a decision. Decisions are made in contexts. Contexts involve many factors. That's what we want to look at. What are those factors that lead someone to decide to buy something from us or anybody else, or not to buy anything at all? So from Mariotti's point of view, value goes beyond the physical attributes. It's not about tangible, measurable, identifiable, or manageable. Those factors are important, but it's beyond those physical attributes. It's situational. Value can change over time. Value involves sacrifices. That's a word we're going to look at a little more closely, that a customer needs to make in order to obtain a product or a service. What does a customer need to do to get something from you? That's a sacrifice. Price is only one category of sacrifice, paying for something, the cost of something. There are other categories of sacrifice. They include accessibility, delivery, set up an installation, and learning to use the product, or making best use of the service. So these are important factors to keep in mind when we talk about what constitutes value and why someone would come to you in order to access something, have something delivered from you, install something from you, service or product, and actually use it, as well as pay for it. And so, value is a complex combination of considerations. Why? Attributes. What? Consequences. What for? Sacrifices. How am I going to get this? What do I have to do to get this? Situations. When? High order benefits. So what else is involved here? Do I buy something because there's esteem associated with it? Product, for example. Prestige. I live in a high-end neighborhood. Safety, security. All this must be considered, weighed, and decided upon. So this is how customers think when they come to buy something. And a company needs to understand this in order to sell something, or more pointedly, to deliver value. So Mariotti's value model begins by looking at the organization. So what do organizations look like? From his point of view, all organizations have structure, processes, relationships, purpose, and culture. So these are the 5 principles. Any organization is built this way, right? Michael Porter had a different way. He had the primary and secondary attributes. Mariotti is refining this and bringing it down to 5 elements. Structure, how are we organized? Process, how do we manage money, product, and information flows? Relationships, how do we enhance, develop, and manage supplier and customer expectations? Notice the word expectations, not relationships and not anything else. Why are we here? What's our purpose? And what is our level of engagement inside the organization? What is its culture? That always spills out into the marketplace. And so in running the business, from a structure point of view, we're looking at organizational levels, whether they're centralized or decentralized. What are the spans of reporting? What are the information flows? How are we function oriented, or do we deal with business clusters? Are we global? Are we local? When we deal with processes, it's about quality, throughput, speed, output, effectiveness, results orientation, clean, simple, logical, flexible. Now that's clean, not in the sense of being clean rather than dirty. It's about whether the process is clean and clear, if you will. And it's about whether it's documented and information rich. Do we really know what we're doing? From a relationship point of view, it's about relationship with suppliers upstream, customers downstream. It's about whether we're professional or we're specialized. It's about being trustworthy, honest, and open. Do we share information? And are we oriented to being mutually beneficial to our suppliers upstream, as well as beneficial to our customers downstream? Do we exist in order to leave a legacy? Do we have guiding principles, vision, mission, core competencies, and strategic intent? And then culture, what's our leadership style? Are we participatory in our culture? Do we have empowered employees? Are we motivated as an organization and as people in the organization? What's our ability to communicate? How open are we? And then do we share information? So this gives us a bit of more detail around how businesses run from Mariotti's point of view. So how does this relate to value? Well, what Mariotti does is to take the 5, organizational approaches and says, so there are attributes of value associated at each key point. Structure process focuses on quality. Processes, relationships focus on speed. Purpose relationships focus on innovation. Culture, purpose focus on cost. Culture, structure focuses on service. So the 5 attributes of value from Mariotti's point of view are quality, speed, innovation, cost, and service. And they're connected to how organizations are organized. So what does he mean by this? Well, quality is not just conformance. It's about performance and consistency to meet or exceed expectations. Remember what I said about what Jeff Bezos' philosophy behind Amazon. It's about exceeding expectations. Service is not just being on time. It's not even being just accurate or efficient. It's about the total experience. Again, Think of what I just said about Jeff Bezos. It's about ease, accessibility. It's about how much information is out there. How easy is it for me to know what it is you're dealing with? It's about cordiality. It's about personality, and it's about intimacy. Are you going to deal with me as a person? Service, it's not just the first cost or the cash cost. It's the total cost. It's any money and effort that is required by me as a customer to obtain, incorporate, and use your product or service. Think of online versus in store. It's about speed. Now, speed is not just about on time or normal response speed. It's about how unusual, how rapid, how convenient, how flexible, changeable. What are the bonuses that I can expect, as a special delivery, for example, without any added cost? Speed, by the way, in the online world, especially as we're coming up to the holiday season, is really about returns. Returns of products that you buy online is now becoming the competitive differentiator among different companies. It's also a massive cost to companies. So the business model is changing very rapidly, especially in terms of speed. And then, of course, innovation. It's not just about something new. It's about what's truly surprising, what's unique about Amazon, what's creative, what's exciting and delightful. And then if there is a status involved, and what does that make it even more desirable? And so we get into greater detail. I'm not going to go into great detail here. I'm just going to highlight some of these. So from a quality point of view, the value is, so what is the intended or design performance level of a product or a service? This is, again, the company delivering. From a conformance point of view, does the product conform to intended specs? Quality, from a consistency point of view, is it consistent, or is there a low level, at least, of variability? Reliability, does it keep doing what it's intended to do in the same way, or all of a sudden does this product not work? Durability, how long can I expect this product to work, or this service to be available to me in a useful way? From a service point of view, courtesy. Is the service courteous, pleasant, friendly? Ease. Do I have any after-sales service, and is it easy to access? Someone going to help me deal with something. If I order something that needs to be installed and I need to build it, is someone going to be there to help me? If there's a price involved, IKEA is famous for this, I'll pay the price because I don't own any tools, kind of thing. I'm also talking about me. So, information, how easy is it for me to understand what's going on here? And in terms of your product or service, what I can get from you. Flexibility. Can the service be accessed and used in different ways, including the product? Adaptability in terms of responsiveness. Can you respond to my need because I have a particular issue involved? Speed. Speed is really about accessibility. It's also about timeliness, but accessibility is the first one, in terms of convenience. It's about when, where, and how in terms of my request. It's about throughput. Actually, this is a throughput question that I, as a customer, ask the company. Do you actually know what you're doing? Do you know what the life cycle is from the time you order something to the time you produce to the time you deliver it? Can you tell me what that is? I just ordered custom-made shelves for my home office and library. And it's very high-end. It's millwrights are actually building this from a custom point of view. And it's wood, and it's very specific to my needs within construct. And I know it won't be delivered until the end of January, February. I'm in the middle of renovating my house. And I don't mind that. It's also expensive, but they know what they're doing. They told me this before I actually purchased it. That was part of speed. And then, of course, is the information quickly available? When I was dealing with this group, it was fairly accurate, fairly quickly available. They're not so used to online, and I'm not so used to online, so there were some glitches, but we got through that. Cost. You know, is the low cost always the competitive cost? Not necessarily. This item I just bought, customized, is very expensive, and I'm prepared to pay it, not because I have lots of money, but because I want what it is that they can do. The handling and packaging, this is going to be delivered. This stuff weighs incredible amounts of money. It's made of oak. So I want to know if there's going to be little waste and there's not going to be a lot of non-valued inputs that's going to add to the cost. Are you going to deliver it in such a way that it can get to the final destination? If I decide to change right now in the middle of all this, how much is it going to cost me? I need to know that. Doesn't mean I won't pay for it. Doesn't mean I won't change my mind. I am a customer after all, but it does mean I'd like to know what the charges are going to be. And of course, if I do this all according to what you tell me you can do, am I going to get a premium reduction or a premium price? And I would hope you would. And it is a premium. I actually got it in there on a sale basis. I got 25% off a very expensive item. So there we go. Innovation. So is the product unique? Is it exclusive? You know, okay, what I'm ordering is not so much unique, but the development of it, the building of it is unique. It's unique to my specifications. You know, does it convey anything additional in importance? Well, this stuff does. I won't go into what the detail is. That's why I ordered it. Is it something that's got a technological breakthrough? Well, it's old technology that dates from the 19th century, but it's technology that's gone out of favor, and it's technology I want because it's going to protect my library. I have books that are being protected because they're glass enclosed shelving. Does it have an entertainment factor? Well, the entertainment for me with this particular series of bookcases is people are going to walk into my home office and they're going to say, "Wow, look at that." For me, that's entertaining. And then, of course, is it a style issue? Well, this is not a trend or a fad. This is something that's going to last forever. And so from a quality point of view, and this is the voice of the customer, but back to those 5 elements, now looking at it from a customer's point of view. But think of it from your point of view. From a quality point of view, what am I looking for? You know, does it meet my needs? Must its features also be useful to me? Is it reliable? How long is it going to last? Well, these shelves are going to last beyond my lifetime. Take my word for it. Someone's going to enjoy it, who's going to inherit it. You know, how easy or difficult was it for me to deal with you? Well, I paid upfront online. So there we go. It was pretty easy. You know, how easy was it for me to access and use your services? That actually was a little touchy because I had to deal with 3 or 4 different people, including the millwright, who made it clear that he was in charge, not me, because he's the millwright, I'm not. So could you tell me quickly what I needed to know? Yes, he did. Not necessarily very nicely, but at least he did. And so are you flexible? Within limits. Within limits. We'll talk about what the limits are in terms of how they accommodated my needs, but in their way. And then were you dealing with my issues? Yes, they were. In the end, I was satisfied. So from a speed point of view, okay, it's going to take until January, February for me to receive these items. But you know what that did for me? It allowed me to schedule my renovation projects with my contractor. So it gave me a convenience that was a big question. Will I receive it on time? It will be timely enough, given what I had to reorganize willingly. You know, it'll come when I need it because I'll be finished by then. Do they know what they're doing? Yes, they know what they're doing. They're experts at it, and I trust them. It's about trust, you know. And Do I know, do they know what's happening in terms of me? Yes, they do, because they have my money. They better know what I need. So are they competitive from a cost point of view? No. I'm asking for something that's customized, so it's expensive, but I'm willing to pay it. Where do they waste money? I don't think they are, because they know wood and they know how to handle it. But if there is waste, that's going to be a cost to me as a customer. They also know where things are. They are flexible enough within terms, and they don't expect too much from me because they know I'm kind of ignorant about these things. And then as far as innovation, yes, this is a special product, all right, within limits. It's not rocket science. What is special about it? It meets my needs. Now, that's an interesting answer to that question. What makes something special is what it does for you, not necessarily what it does from a manufacturing or product point of view. All right? Is it breakthrough? Because it meets my needs. Is it neat or fun? Yeah, it's a wow factor. Is it cutting edge? Yes, but it's not necessarily hot. Okay, you have to make a distinction between those. So that's where Mariotti is looking at the 5 characteristics of value from a business point of view, delivering value into markets for customers, and reversing it at the end as to how customers ask serious questions around, value from a company. So let's look at how different companies lead in markets. All right, so it's something else that we have to consider. Especially when we think of products. When we think of products and what we want to choose, as well as services, but let's stay with products. How do we as customers determine which products we're going to buy? Depends on the company and what products they actually produce. So there are different kinds of companies. There are those that focus on operational excellence. There are those that focus on product leadership, and there are those that focus on customer intimacy. So these are market value disciplines. This concept comes from Tracy and Wiersma in the disciplines of market leaders. So operational excellence, it's low cost, very highly effective internal operations. It's the best middle of the market service or products with very few inconveniences. Think toilet paper, folks. Everybody needs toilet paper. That's as crude as I can get. And guess what? You don't expect a lot of bells and whistles when it comes to toilet paper, period. Right? And the companies that produce it are efficient and excellent from an operating point of view. Toilet paper is toilet paper is toilet paper. Product leadership. This is a product that has performance, that is innovative, it's forefront in their markets, and they change year after year. Telephones, computers, Nike, right? Clothing, product leadership. Customer intimacy, they're delivering not what the market wants, but what specific customers want. This is a very unique market. And they cultivate the relationships with those markets and those customers. And they don't go to the market in a general way. I'm going to leave it at, you think about a type of product that would be in that category of value creation. And so the value proposition for an operational excellence company is really about price and cost. How cheap can I make this so that I have an increase in margins so that when you buy my toilet paper, I'm going to make a profit. All right, product leadership is, what are the unique attributes for the product? What is the quality and what is so innovative about it so that you're going to pay the premium price? And then customer intimacy, it's really about service and time, right? And time, by the way, is not speed, because a customized product, and that's why customer intimacy is basically customized, right? It's about getting me what I want, and I will wait for the time. My products that I just mentioned, my shelves, I'm waiting until January, February for them to be delivered because they're being made for me. So A company that values operational excellence might look something like this. Their culture will be disciplined teamwork, process focused, get it through the process from input, throughput, output. The management systems are really about command and control. Let's get this done. Let's get it done now. Information technology is really about transactions. How do we move from this point to this point to this point so that we make a sale? Organizational structure is really about centralized functions. The culture I already mentioned, but the core processes about product delivery and delivering basic service cycle. So it's about the cycle, the input, throughput, output. It's built on standards. So that's the kind of company that delivers value from an operational excellence point of view. A company that delivers value from a product leadership point of view, it's really concept driven. So what's the latest concept? What's the newest idea we can come up with? And it's about, the management system is risk oriented, right? Information is person to person. It's really about value teams coming together in an agile tech point of view, right? So technology is very innovative. It's about inventing things. And often enough, it's a very organic organization, very cellular. Groups work together in group dynamics, and it's about inventing things. And inventing them not just for the sake of inventing. It's not Tesla inventing stuff that can't be sold. And that's not Tesla, the automobile. It's Tesla, the inventor. It's about commercializing. You've got to make money. And then from a customer intimacy point of view, it's really about client driven. Think real estate. That's a client driven value proposition. It's about revenue and maximizing revenue. It's about having customer databases, and it's about having knowledge databases about, let's say products, i.e. Apartments or houses that are on the market, and linking those houses to potential customers. And really it's about being highly entrepreneurial. And so it's client acquisition and client development, it's solution development, it's about being flexible, and it's really price oriented. It's and price and value come together in this instance. High price. And so when we think of operational excellence, we think of Dell Computer. Dell is not a computer organization, it's an assembly organization. They assemble computers. Virgin Air. You can think of all kinds of other companies. Nike is product leadership. Mercedes is product leadership. Four Seasons Hotel, customer. It's customer intimacy. You go to a Four Seasons because it's costly, high end, and you expect service. Armani is costly. You expect a certain level of customer intimacy. And you can think of multiple other customers or companies that fall into those categories. Consumer oriented, the cool factor, and then the prestige value. So let's look at this. This is our fourth item in terms of value creation. Let's look at us. We are customers. Let's characterize ourselves. And I'm going to be bluntly honest about who we are as customers. We're capricious, we're emotional, we're adamantly disinterested in a company's profit agenda. We don't care if a company makes money. We're not interested, all right? We want what we want, all right? And it's capricious. We're not necessarily rational, all right? I'm being honest, and you have to be honest with yourself. And we're highly emotional about what we want and when we want it and how we're going to get it. So what customers judge from a value creation point of view is the quality of their experience by how much of the variability that they introduce is accommodated, not by how it's denied, right? When you and I go into a place, we go in as us. We don't go in even as a category called customer. Right? Customer is a category that the company identifies. We go in as a person. Right? We want something, whether it's a restaurant or a grocery store or online shopping, whatever. And we want something, and we want to be accommodated. So there are 5 types of customer introduced variability. This is us. I'm talking about us. Arrival, request, capability, effort, and subjective preference. Okay, let's look at those. I'm talking about us in terms of what we look for from a value perspective. Arrival. All customers do not want all the service at the same time or at times necessarily convenient for the company. I need and I want apples. I'm talking about me. You talk about yourselves. I will go to the grocery store to buy apples when I have time. Right? Request. Customers' desires don't emerge along standard lines. We're not logical. I don't like Macintosh apples. They're too soft. I prefer Granny Smith apples because they're crispy and tart. Sometimes I like Red Delicious, but I never like Yellow Delicious. All right? It's my request. It's also part of preference. Capability. Whether because of knowledge, skill, physical abilities, or resources, some customers perform tasks easily and others require handholding. Actually, I don't have a car. I've always lived in big cities. I never owned a car in my life. So I cannot buy a case of Granny Smith apples to bring home. I use public transit. I am limited to what I can carry. Right? That's me. Now think of you. Think of what it is that you can buy. How much can you buy at any given time and in any given way? Effort. When customers must perform a role, it's up to them to decide how much effort they apply to that task. I will buy Granny Smith apples at the local market despite it being more expensive because it is closer to home and it's easier for me to carry it home. Right? The cost isn't the factor, it's the ease and the effort I have to put into bringing Granny Smith. Subjective preference. Customers vary in their opinions about what it means to be treated well. I don't like buying apples in the summer because they are left over from last year. I don't know if you know that about apples, but that is true. The best season for apples is in the autumn. That's the only time I buy apples. I don't buy apples in the summer. You go, you're crazy. No, I have a preference. All right. I'm a customer. And by the way, that's what I value. And by the way, you are no different. You just choose the item and see what your preferences are. So how do we as companies accommodate customer variabilities? Well, it's all situational. It all depends. It depends on the kind of business. It depends on the type of customer introduced variability. All right? It involves compensation strategies for variations among customers. So different costs. What is it going to cost for me to buy a Granny Smith at the local market versus at the one that's 5 miles or 10 kilometers away? All right. It depends on your people and their experience with customers. Now, if any of you go to restaurants and you go frequently to restaurants and there are actual wait staff, waiters and waitresses, the smartest people in the room are the waiters and the waitresses. Why? Because they size people up. The minute someone walks through the door, they know what the experience will be with that customer or group of customers. And your people are the smartest in terms of accommodating customer variability. So veteran employees like waitresses and waiters can diagnose customer types. Someone walks in, They're almost a regular customer. They have a bad look on their face. They're not in a good mood. The waitress or waiter will know that instantly, and they will accommodate. They will make on-the-fly adaptations to suit the preference at the moment in the situation. And they will protect the customer from being stupid, okay? They will protect the customer from making too many adjustments of their own. I'm in a bad mood today. I want to eat this. Well, you know, today our specialty is that. And I had it for lunch, and it's really good. And I think you will enjoy it. That's the waiter talking to me after I have asked for something that's not on the menu because I'm in a bad mood. What has he done? He's changed my mood. All right? Your veteran employees know how to accommodate customer variabilities. You are the customers that cause the trouble. And so the success of an accommodation strategy hinges on a company's ability to influence the customer's behavior and even to persuade the customer to pay more to cover any added expense. So I go back to where I began. We see customers as invited guests to a party, and we are the hosts. It's our job every day to make every important aspect of the customer experience a little bit better. Jeff Bezos, former CEO, Amazon.